Hi, it's Dan at Managing Digital, where we help people get better at creating value with technology. Today, I'm talking about the outside-in concept that we use in enterprise architecture. It's all about focusing your work on customers instead of yourself. And you would think everybody already knows that. The customer knows best, customer first, all that kind of thing. But for some reason in IT, it's very easy to lose sight of that. This principle has always worked for me in jobs that were about providing IT-based services to people. It started for me a long time ago in the newspaper business, one of the first places to suffer from the joys of digital transformation. In the long ago, in the ancient times, where my kids say, "Dad, did they have cars when you were young?" Well, actually, yeah, even television. But we had newspaper people whose skill set required them to be able to run a typewriter and a pencil, and sometimes a telephone, and maybe even a fax machine, but certainly not a computer. It was all paper-based. It worked pretty well. And then we brought these computers in to make everything better. Well, maybe. People whose career choices were never based on being some kind of IT person suddenly were faced with a lot of IT stuff they had to deal with. My team was responsible for supporting all the IT systems for those departments. And very early on, I got a motto that worked, and I made sure that everybody who worked for me knew that. If the user says it's broken, then it's broken. Don't come back and tell me it's within the SLA. Don't come back and tell me there aren't any bugs. Don't come back and tell me the system is doing just what it was supposed to do, so they're wrong. If the user says it's broken, then it's broken. Our job is to help them feel that it's not broken. Sometimes even when it is broken, if they don't think it's broken and it's doing what it's supposed to do, then we may think it isn't very good technologically, but actually that's good enough. Well, my team didn't like that at first because they had based their own careers on sort of inside out instead of outside in. That is, if they thought things were working well for them, then it must be okay. The attitude that I taught my team back when I was a youthful manager has served me well in every job I've had, whether in a large company, in enterprise architecture or IT strategy, or in a software house creating big solutions for big companies to help them be successful and create value. And even when the end user's depth of technical misunderstanding is enough to make the angels weep, the right solution is always double down on making the systems better and more useful and more meaningful and helping them to be successful, not insisting that they learn some techno skill that makes them weep. If you have a system, as I've had in many cases, where the software we bought came with canned reports that the person who bought it really liked, and the person who needs the information in the reports couldn't use, the answer is not to tell them, get over it and learn how to use the standard reports. The answer is to change the way we present the data to them to something that they can use, to something that's consumable. It's to stretch that software or to change that software or to fire that vendor or to do something innovative in your own shop. A lot of the work I do is with a standards body called the Open Group, which owns TOGAF. IT for IT standard owns Unix, and was created in the 1990s with the motto, boundaryless information flow. That was the goal and still the goal of the Open Group, because we still don't do that. I work with people today who are running big IT operations and providing services to thousands of people, and they're measuring themselves on the service level agreement that's in a contract. Now, I'm not saying SLAs are wrong. I am saying that if that's the only thing you care about, you're probably getting it wrong. There's a new thing called an experience level agreement, which was designed exactly because of the attitude that if I'm meeting my service level agreement and the customer's unhappy, it's okay. It's never okay. It's never okay. That should be our attitude. If you take that attitude, you will do different things and you will become a trusted collaborator. This attitude has served me well in all kinds of situations. This kind of thinking delivers systems that don't just perform, but that overperform, that make people feel better about coming to work. That's the kind of outcome that helps you in your career, because if you become a credible helper, what in some contexts people call a servant leader, if that's your approach to creating and delivering and supporting software for users to get value from instead of for you to get a salary from, that salary will go up because people notice that kind of thing. It's rare. Inside out is the wrong way to do it. Outside in is the kind of thinking that is the essence of the enterprise architecture profession done well. It's one of the underlying success-oriented themes that we teach people about in our TOGAF training. And we have things like the TOGAF framework and the architecture development method directly in response to catastrophes that were happening to large companies doing transformation projects that were inside out, that were based only on the imagination of the IT people instead of being based on the needs of the stakeholders in the outcome. I don't know why we still have to teach people this, but we still have to teach people that. So that's what I try to do in my training for TOGAF certification and other things. I'm happy when I learn that people who have worked with me and taken this on board are finding their careers going forward and getting their own success based on their own ability to do outside in thinking and to realize that the customer is always right. If the user says it's broken, it is broken, and not obsess on, but I'm meeting my contract, so what's the problem? Do I think that we can measure the quality of what we do just on simple metrics that make sense to people who don't want to know how it works? Probably I'm right. What metrics are you using? I would argue the right metrics are: how happy are your customers? And are you giving good value for money? If you can do that in IT, all the other things become secondary. That's the outside in focus. That's the servant leader focus. That's what we teach people about in architecture and hopefully in all aspects of business life and maybe even in all aspects of life. Think about it. See you next time. Thanks.